Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
Lance, welcome back. You were in Vegas. It had nothing to do with work.
I haven't seen you since last decade, man.
That's true.
Here you are, new decade.
You haven't heard from us since last decade.
That's true.
Hello to everyone.
It's 2020.
Speaking of last decade and going into 2020, the Roaring 20s, which is great. Technology is advancing so much that I feel like this decade is going to be absolutely awesome. And one thing that's cool is like all the power that's now coming down to the consumers and what you can do. And where you can get some of that power is through Dell, right?
Yep.
Inside the Firm listeners and their firms. So your whole firm is eligible for valuable discounts on Dell Technologies products and services. If you visit dell.com/inside the firm, you can get those rewards. So go to our website if you need the link, which is insidethefirmpodcast.com, or else dell.com/inside the firm.
Also, if you are the BIM jockey for your firm, are you used to the grind of using broad search engines or searching manufacturer sites only to find that they don't have the BIM that you want, right? Maybe you had to go to ARC, or what is the other, Revit City?
Sure.
Download some crazy stuff that's not manufacturer approved. It's going to corrupt your system. Sounds terrible, right?
It is. Even though I like Revit City, they don't vet their models, so you can get, it's not good.
Yeah.
Go to ARCAT.
So what you need to do is you need to go to arcat.com. It's time to use arcat.com. Arcat is the #1 most used website for finding building product information and has a free library of over 7,500 BIM objects and systems, all available in multiple formats. Even better, each object is high-quality BIM based on actual manufactured products or handy generic items. You don't even have to register to use or access ARCAT's BIM library. Just head over to arcat.com, that's ARCAT.com, and start building better content today.
That's very useful that you don't have to log in. You can just start using it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Back to the 20s. Back to the 20s, though.
Yep.
Do you know what we have in common now that it's 2020? We have in common with 1720, 1820, and 1920.
Wow. That's a lot of 20s, besides the last two digits of those numbers.
Yeah.
Or was that it?
Massive plague outbreaks.
Really? 1720?
Yep.
1820 and 1920?
Yep. We had massive plague outbreaks. You can look that up. It's for real. But anyway, I am excited about this decade. I think it's going to be good. There we go.
Yeah. So speaking of fads, plagues being a fad, there's Lance sent me an article, and I don't know if did you bring up this article?
So I brought up this article, and here's I'm just going to give you the title of what it's called, okay? And what it's called is, it's official, open plan offices are now the dumbest management fad of all time. And then here's what Alex had to say. That's a crap article. Yeah. They are trying to replace one fad with another. The work from home decreases productivity more than other systems. So you should maybe Al will put this in the
I will
in the show notes. Show notes. It's from Inc.com. So if you were just Googling it, it's official open plan offices are now the dumbest management fad of all time, and they're citing a new study from Harvard that reveals blah 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 open plan offices decrease rather than increase face-to-face collaboration. See, that's like the subtitle of the whole thing. That, well, I mean,
can I?
What a misleading headline.
Can I say why I don't like this article on like 3 levels?
Yeah.
So I've noticed it. So I told you last birthday I got myself master classes, right? So it's just like Gary and Malcolm Gladwell and those people like going into their process. And one was Malcolm Gladwell going into his process and how like he literally wants to say something provocative at the beginning, and like he doesn't say it like this, but in my mind he was twisting information to make a unique story, right? So I feel like maybe 5 years ago the unique story was these open offices, so all these people had to write on it. now you have to be counterproductive. You know, you have to like show someone new. So you write an article this other way. So the two examples I have to counter that is, yes, sometimes you are less productive when there's people talking, right? But I believe that you're also more creative when people are sharing ideas also. So, and I feel like there's a lot of times in this office in particular, like we can dive down to the root of the problem rather than doing like extracurricular stuff that doesn't matter. But my examples are working at Leapskin. So we worked at Leapskin. We had an open office. It was great culture. We got, you know.
How many people?
60?
Okay, that's
Something
a
like
lot.
that. Yep. And then we went over. I won't name this other.
Nobody
firm.
had a cubicle. Honestly,
Daniel had an office. That was it, and his wife.
yeah.
That was it.
You got to talk about money. I mean, honestly, like then you're gonna, you know,
Yeah.
gotta have like a little privacy.
And they have like 4 principals, 4 bosses there. They did not have their own offices at all. So we went to another firm, and they had cubicles. And I'm telling you, it was dead. People were like not happy. It wasn't good. That's just one example. So that example doesn't lead to everything. But the other one was, I'll probably have to find the article, but basically it stated, and then Yahoo changed their policy. So when Yahoo was trying to transition a couple of years ago, they said, oh, we're going to do the fad of people can work from home. Guess what they found? When people work from home, they don't work. They literally don't work. Like their kid is calling, their friend calls, they can take a break. They say, oh, I'll do this later, right? Because I'm working at home. I'll do this at 7, 8 at night, something like that. But then what happens? Your friends call or your baby's crying again. Like to say that this fad doesn't work, I almost would have bought it when he immediately replaced it with work from home. I'm like, I don't think you're doing your research, guy. I think you're just trying to say the next cool thing. Like that's all I think you're trying to do is dismiss the cool thing to say that you're breaking the news on the next cool thing. So I don't buy it. I think you have to see how your firm works.
Thank you. That's exactly where you should have segued into perfectly. That was perfect because, so I posted this in the Entre Architect community right after you gave me your quick feedback about it.
This is on Facebook, so people join it if you haven't.
If you haven't joined the Entre Architect community, I don't know who you are as an architect.
Literally, he doesn't know who you are.
Yeah. So because it actually makes the whole community smaller in the sense that you get to know all these people online and then eventually meet them, like we met Nick and a bunch of other people. So I posted this and then tagged. Do you know who Josh Kunkel is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a younger guy, and he's the founder and director of architecture at Method Architecture. So he's in, I think they're in Oklahoma. Yeah. So he's a listener. So I would love it, Josh, if you gave us some feedback about, because my question to you is, and people like you who start this, who don't do the open office floor plan and actually do remote style architecture firms. So he's completely, everybody's remote.
Wow.
It's pretty incredible. And like, I agree with you, Al. You think you have to, I immediately said to my wife when we were walking around, after I read this article, I was like, I mean, I first of all, I thought like, oh, I got to defend myself here because we literally just built an office with an open space floor plan. And I go, but I distinctly remember asking the guys, getting their input during the design process. And everybody was really excited about this kind of style. So I do think it comes down to like, you better know your staff first.
Not only just know your particular staff, but also know their experience. Like if you have, maybe he has a firm where everyone has 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years worth of experience. So meaning like they can be really productive at home. What if you have a new person? Like how you train a new person when people are working at home, I have no idea. I have no idea how that's done because it's not just a 2-week training period and then you're an architect. Like it's constant. Like what's going on?
Constant.
What's happening? You wouldn't believe the amount. Like these guys are experienced here, but they walk to someone else's desk and just ask them something all the time.
And I think it's important for us. Like we always have these the industry we operate in is so unique, where I think you have to have the opportunity to be able to turn around and ask people questions.
Yep.
As a team as a whole, though. You know what I mean? And like we say, well, here's what we've been doing for our projects. Here's what you guys have been doing for your project. What is the best way to do it?
Yep.
Is there, I don't know. And then we have staff members, and I'm one of them included, that like, yeah, some days I need to concentrate. Okay. I put in some headphones, or I just say, or I go turn the music down or something like that. But like, it doesn't seem to slow down our productivity. So I just think it comes down to like your staff and how they work.
And also, out of sight, out of mind, especially for bigger corporations. So not talking about any one of us. So I like to listen to business books on Audible. And Home Depot bought some other branches way back in the 80s. They never did it again because it was a mess. And they literally fired everyone. Besides, there was a guy in the corner office that snuck by for 3 months. Because every morning he'd come in, he'd just go to his office, shut the door, and like shuffle papers around and not do nothing. Think about losing track of what's going on or what people are doing. Sometimes I just look at a guy and I'm like, oh crap, this project, this is going on.
Yep. We do allow, I think, 2 staff members to work from home every once in a while though, because they live further south.
Like a day a week.
Which really helps them, and they appreciate that. Actually, from a management standpoint, because we do operate all the way up and down the Front Range in Colorado, it helps us. Like, okay, he's either picking up checks or he's dropping off drawings, but like sort of having a point man down there until we get another office is ideal. So the back and forth on that thread was fantastic. Everybody said. There was a couple of things where, like, I think this guy had a really good point. His name is Patrick Manley, and he made the point about, as to working to home, the author ignores the reality that some people are less productive at home. For years, I had one member of a staff who lived and worked 2 hours away. He was a machine and one of the most disciplined architects I know. Then I had another employee of similar age and experience who worked in the office. He was constantly distracted, did almost nothing when I was out of the building. Bothered others when they were trying to get work done. You get the point. Yep. I eventually had to let him go, but maybe the real answer does not lie in the physical office, but how we manage and how we hire.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm telling you, that's it. Like, if you want to do the remote thing, great. And then
you got to hire the person for that.
Yeah. And then I try to play devil's advocate with you just when I was talking to my wife about this, is I was like, well.
Did you tell her that I said it was junk?
Yeah, of course. And I was like, I think he's saying that as a knee-jerk reaction because Alex literally has to get out of his house to get things done anymore right now in his life because he's got these small kids. And that's just the way it is. I remember, like,
they'll tackle me.
They will tackle you. Exactly. And so, even though I could have been a stay-at-home dad, remember when we first started the firm, I could have kept the kids home all day. Right. I could have, because I was at stay-at-home. I could have brought them to meetings. I could have made it work and saved all this kind of money.
Yeah.
But what a pain! I can't imagine there was any productivity. You know what I mean? So then I sent him to a daycare, and that is what it is.
Yep.
So I get if that's where you're coming from at it at all. I don't know. That makes sense to me because when I stay home in the mornings, if I can do most of my work in the mornings, if I get up at 4:30 and I'm just cranking through stuff, and then I don't have to get ready to come into the office until after I drop off the littlest one at school. Yep. That actually is me being as productive as possible. But maybe not all day. I mean, I'm equally productive in either place.
Well, you couldn't. How are people supposed to? Just think about that. Like, sometimes you stop doing email chains because it might as well be on. You might as well just have a phone call and solve it right there. Everyone knows how much more productive that phone call might be. There's been many times where I wanted the engineer, like, why can't the engineer just be in here? Like, we could solve this in 2 seconds. So, like, you have to solve that for people that your team that you're managing. So, like, it would just, even though maybe you might say it's efficient, like, it would be very inefficient on that. And then the other thing too is Yahoo didn't change just because they thought it was a fad or not. They did it because they saw the productivity going down. And I just can feel even maybe this same offer in 2 years, like, fad of working from home is disastrous. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
It's kind of any kind of alarmism. Like, I'm such a big skeptic of everything where I'm like, I was old enough to remember like don't eat eggs, you'll die,
Exactly.
And don't drink wine. And now all of a sudden you can have like 2 glasses a day. I'm like, just moderation. Don't fundamentals.
Yeah. Don't have bacon and egg and orange juice. Well, not orange juice. Yeah. They say that because it's too much sugar. Like, that's probably actually a great breakfast.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yep.
Know your staff. That's, I think, the lesson here. You got to know your staff, especially when you make a giant leap like we did, obviously.
Yeah.
Have their input, talk about it.
I think you just, all these drastic changes,
It's like people try to reinvent the wheel. So because it goes down to this, like, so like then the author goes on, over the decades, a lot of really stupid management fads have come and gone. And this kind of blew my mind. Number one, Six Sigma. You heard of this?
Yep. I have.
Of course you have.
We're going to implement it for sure.
Where employees wear different color belts, like in karate, to show they've been trained in this. It's so dumb. Stack racking, where employees are encouraged to rat each other out in order to secure their own advancement and budget. Then the third one, I've never heard of this. This was dumb. Consensus management. Have you heard of this? Where all decisions must pass through multiple committees before being implemented, which is hilarious because this our last episode was how to cut out bureaucracy, even in your own. That seems like adding bureaucracy and like doing opposite of the fundamental, being lean.
Yep. So I think you need an oxum, the razor. What's that?
The razor.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
The oxum?
Oxum's a razor. It's a razor. I'm saying it wrong. Occam's razor.
Oh, okay.
Where basically the simplest solution is probably the solution, right? So if you have, maybe you do have individual projects that just take one person's time and they know how to complete all that task, then maybe at home is it, and maybe their kids are in high school, so it doesn't, like they don't need to be bothered by a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, right? But let's say you have a very dynamic office that has a lot of questions and does, projects get passed around. Maybe it doesn't work for your firm there. So just start off with the basics.
Basics every time.
Basics.
With everything.
And then go from there.
Yeah, test it out. You got it.
So I will contend it can work if you're structured differently.
Correct.
Yep. All right. New Year's goals. So normally I actually do like a more formal thing, but you were texting me before and you're like, what are your New Year's goals? I'm like, I kind of know, but not really. So I think I do have a couple. And we agreed like, we want to make about this amount of money in bonus money. That's kind of a goal. The other thing is that we want 4 builds this year. 4 probably house builds. And I think there's 2 that I want to get.
1 building each.
Yep.
Not 2.
What? Yeah. So there's that. Those are our F9 goals. I think increase the staff by 1 to 2. I don't know if we've ever had that as a goal. It's just always kind of happened.
I think it's a great goal. Let's just say it. Yes, we want to. I would like to multiply at least 1 more, ideally 2 more.
Yep.
So by the end of 2020, we would be at 9 total.
Yep. That's full time. We always have part-time people and our accountant and stuff like that. So it's weird how you count those half-time people. But that's what I have. What do you have, Lance?
The 4 builds is really good. I would like to. No, the 4 builds is really good. I think for me, it's just getting back to I want there to be a routine that is executed almost every single day, and there's no giant disruptions, And so then if there are some giant disruptions just by market forces or, weather or a disaster somehow, being able to now rely on our decade, are over a decade, because we are over a decade now. You're old as F9. We're a couple years old as builders, and a couple years old as developers. To have that collective knowledge now, like start paying off to where like, nothing really phases us. There's no big stressful thing. Time is managed much better, for building projects. We're more routine with things. That's what I would like to get into. Just a really good. Just a well-oiled machine and system.
Yeah.
For when we do design build projects.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's a great
You
goal.
skipped over a bullet point.
No, I didn't. What?
Engineer feedback for architects, didn't you?
Oh. Well, let's go back to that.
Yeah.
So there's our goals. Lance and I talked to another engineering firm. This is a structural engineering firm. And they gave some feedback on architects. So we know a lot of architects listen. I thought it was interesting what they said.
They said that nobody likes to. Well, first of all, they were brutal. I mean, they were just like, architects don't pay on time.
Because we asked, how do you want it structured when we go after clients? Do you want to be under our umbrella or separate and go with the developer? And they said, we don't like being under the architects. They'll pay like 3, 4, or 5 months late. I'm like, that is brutal.
I mean, they gave us.
Is that you? Like, think about that architect.
Think about that architect. Yeah, everybody who's listening. And the specific example is they go like, we have examples. There was multiple ones of this that they pointed out, is that they would go to bill the architect and then maybe remind them, and then the architect's like, oh yeah, I still need to bill that out. And I've said this all day long. I've said this in many different podcasts previous to this one, many different episodes. Like, what are you doing you got to be just as much of a capitalist as an architect. Like, it's just, stop lying about the whole thing. Like, you can still be an artist. Mm-hmm. We're artists. We made trust me, we spend too much money on especially the buildings that we build. Yeah. Like we do. I even told my wife that over the weekend. I'm like, we just
spent too much.
We just spent too much. Like, we got what we wanted. Same thing with my house. Like, I got what I wanted, spent too much. Yeah. I mean, but like, so know that. And then no one likes to be under the thumb, right? So the other thing they didn't like is that the other architects, because they were holding the bag on the money, is that they ended up kind of sounded like forcing, in a way, coercing them, the structural engineers, to kind of do stuff that a little sketchy.
Well, also like on a timeline, like, hey, get this project done. Remember, I bring you a lot of projects, right? So having that untact, not having tact, and then also paying late, like, why would they? How's that a healthy relationship? And it wasn't a healthy relationship. So I don't think we do that. So, and I don't think you should do that. But it's good to peer in and see if you might have some of those faults.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to check in with the guy we haven't heard from last decade.
He's one of my favorite. Here we go with Nick Reeds.
Hello, best friends. I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. A reading. No more. No more. No more. No more excuses. No more I'll start tomorrow. No more just this once. No more accepting the shortfalls of my own will. No more taking the easy road. No more bowing down to whatever unhealthy or unproductive thoughts float through my mind. No. No more. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more indecision and no more lies. No more weakness. No. No more. Now is the time for strength. And through strength, and through will, and through unwavering discipline, I will become what I want to be. I will become who I want to be. And then, and only then, will I rest and say, no more. Jocko.
Well, you guessed correctly.
Yeah, I did. I wonder, Nick, is this from his book, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, or are you just finding these? Because I'm sure they're posted all over the place, his sayings, but I'm just wondering if it's from the book, because if it is, then you can buy that book as long as we're telling you, and he has a whole bunch of these. It's called Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. So basically, no more excuses. Just know that it comes down to you and that you are the ones making the decisions. And you're the one that generally hurts yourself the most. You're the one that puts yourself in bad places and decisions.
Let's say you wake up at 4:30 a.m.
Let's say
your eyes are open and you're like, oh man, I just kind of want to keep laying here. Don't. Just get up. Get after it.
Yeah.
Get on with your life.
You know what I'm going to do? I didn't today, though.
Me either. You can sleep when you're dead. But Monday is not. So back to 4:30 again.
Okay, good. I need to rest my body. I have bruises from I've been doing a little jiu-jitsu, and my elbow has been killing me because we were doing throws. I think I told you, Lance.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden my son goes, "What's that?" I go, "What are you talking about?" And I finally look. Do you see that? Right there?
Yeah, he's got some, I don't know, I thought he maybe had leprosy a couple days ago.
A big circle bruise that I didn't even know about. I was like, that is probably why that still hurts.
What is that?
Right there.
You got it. Time for A.R.E. Jeopardy.
Let's bring in the boys. A BTU, 1 BTU, which is British thermal unit, is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of A, 1 kilogram of water, 1 degree Celsius. B, 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit. C, 1 liter of water by 1 degree Celsius. Or D, Boris Johnson, 1 haircut.
Nice. I like that.
All
reference.
right. A BTU is the amount of heat required. Put it down. Are we going again? Yep. Is A, 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. B, 1 pound of water by 1 degree Fahrenheit. C, 1 liter of water by 1 degree Celsius. Or obviously D, Boris Johnson is raised by 1 haircut. We have A, C, C, B, C. The answer is B. You would think it was the other ones because it's a British thermal unit. It is 1 pound of water, 1 pound by 1 degree Fahrenheit, which doesn't make sense. So the BTU. Mark also how many you have because it's too many for me to mark. The BTU metric system counterpart. So the counterpart to the BTU is called what? A joule. B, a calorie. C, a ton. D, a therm. So again, that's A, a joule. B, a calorie. C, a ton. Or D, therm. Show them. D, B, B, A, D. It is B. It's a calorie. So that is defined as the amount required for 1 gram of water, 1 degree Celsius. Yes, question.
Please help me on my A.R.E.
No, but will they ask something like that?
Probably.
Maybe. Yep.
The better question was, will this help me be a practicing architect?
Yeah.
Probably not, but you got to pass those tests.
Got to pass them.
Number 3, what is the device called that is located at the bottom of an elevator hoistway that is used to stop a cab's overtravel at low speed, not to stop a free falling cab, called? A, car bumper. B, cab bumper. C, stoppy boy. 3, cab brake. Any repeating? We got it? We're good? Okay,
Cabby
what do we
boy,
got?
I'm just going to give it away and
All
say
right, let's start over
it's
here.
Cabby
We got
boy.
B. Which one? B and D. The correct answer is B. Cab
Yeah.
bumper. Okay, number 4. What is the movement of water to the surface of freshly cast concrete called? A, hydration. B, evaporation. C, bleeding. D, permeation. A, hydration. B, evaporation. C, bleeding. D, permeation. We got D, A, D, and C. The correct answer is C. I made up permeation, which was D.
Nice. So who had the most? You had 1? 2? 2? 2. Okay. So we will be back with a tiebreaker.
Bam. Okay, what's the rules?
So the rules are Lance is going to say a question. The first one to hold it up that is correct will be right. So let's say Sam writes something down, but he's wrong. The other 2 have a chance to go, and then you can come back with the second answer after their 2 answers. So hit it.
By number of minutes, what is the minimum minutes that you should be specifying a fire-rated door in a 2-hour wall?
Mark first. 45, then 90, then
Jason wins.
Jason wins. There we go. All right, if you enjoyed that, you're going to enjoy Revit Rocket Ship because you're going to learn Revit if you haven't. If you know AutoCAD and not Revit, how dare you? Shame on you. Go check it out. It's money back guaranteed. It's taught by yours truly. A lot of people like it, like a lot of people like it. So if you don't like it, it's probably on you. Just kidding. Money back guarantee. So check it out. See if it's for you.
The last time I asked for this, we had 72 5-star ratings on iTunes, and now we have 73. But I was hoping we would have 75 by 2020.
Yeah. So you don't owe me your Christmas presents.
You don't owe Alex your Christmas presents. However, you do owe me 2 5-star reviews because it's 2020. So please go to the iTunes app, scroll down, leave us a 5-star review, and we thank you.